Today on Hands on Photography, you folks are sending me some amazing bits of feedback and sending me some images and saying, hey, Ant, critique my image. Well, that's what I'm going to do today, and we're going to have some fun with it. I promise I'm not going to be too harsh. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to learn a little bit about it. Y'all stay tuned.
This is TWiT.
No ads, just the content. That's what you get when you join Club TWiT. You even get extras like TWiT Plus, our new bonus feed just for members, and exclusive access to the Club TWiT Discord community. Join now for just $7 a month and support TWiT as we continue to create top-notch podcasts you expect and deserve. We're just getting started, so be one of the first to join as we build Club TWiT from the ground up. You could be an early member. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit to learn more and sign up now. Thanks.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Pruitt, and this is Hands on Photography here on TWiT TV. Hope y'all are doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. As I've said before, this is the podcast where I like to sit down and share with you different tips and tricks that are going to help make you a better photographer, better post-processor, and heck, an all-out great artist, if you will. Thank y'all for joining me each and every week on the network. If this is your first time joining, welcome to you. Go ahead and do me a favor, subscribe in whatever podcast application you're enjoying this on. We're available on all of those popular podcast apps, whether it's Pocket Cast and Overcast and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We even got a YouTube channel. Yeah, go over there and subscribe to YouTube and leave us a comment, leave us a rating so to continue to push us up and help other people discover the show of Hands on Photography, as well as grow our Hands on Photography community. So go ahead and knock that out right now. I really do appreciate the support. But let's go ahead and get started with this week's show. So, all right. So I like to do the tutorials and help you out, but I also like to do feedback and image critiques and things of that nature. But come to find out, it's been quite a while since I've done a feedback show. And folks, my bad. I'm sorry. I know I do try to answer all of the emails as fast as I can. And I know some of you have gotten some emails back from me like, man, I wrote this thing months ago. Where's he been? I promise I do my best to get to him. So this week, we're actually going to focus on your feedback. I got a piece of email from Mr. Patrick Palmer. And I wanted to go over it with everybody else here on the show because it's actually looking back at a couple of the things that we've already discussed and maybe a little help enhance everybody's little learning process here. So, Mr. Victor, let's go ahead and pull up that email and we'll read it off now. All right. He says, hello, big fan of the show, and I was hoping to get some pictures critiqued. For these two, I tried my hand at macro. I do not have a problem with you showing them on hop. Thank you, sir. I use a Nikon D750. The lens is a zoom 24 to 120 millimeter with an extension tube. Interesting. Extension tube. Then he goes into his settings. He's using ISO 100 with an auto white balance, aperture at f4, and he tried it with two different shutter speeds. One's at 1/4 of a second, and I guess this other one was just a little bit faster. I can't tell. It says 2/5 of a second. Interesting. Says he used Lightroom for editing, adding some sharpening, some color correcting. The second shot, because he sent me two shots. The second shot, I was not planning to set it to black and white, and he accidentally hovered over the black and white preset and decided, you know what, I like it. So I'm just going to keep it that way. And he went ahead and did a little bit more adjustments with the lighting and added some vignetting. And he says, yeah, hope you like them. And that's from Mr. Patrick Palmer. So yeah, this was a great email. First thing, in the first paragraph, he talked about the camera that he was using, but he also mentioned an extension tube. Now, if you go all the way back to, I believe it was episode 48 of Hands on Photography, that's when I introduced you to macro photography and some of the tools involved. And I talked about extension tubes. Extension tubes are attached to your camera body before you attach your lens. You attach your lens to the extension tube. And what that does for your camera is allow you to get closer to your subject from a focal length perspective. So your lens can only get so close to a subject and keep it in focus. So that means you're not going to be able to get it as big in the frame and give you that 1-to-1 ratio that most macro photographers would love to have. So you get an extension tube and get a lot closer and make things a lot bigger onto the image sensor. So that's a great tip. I'm glad he was able to grab himself an extension tube and work on this macro photography. So now I want to take a look at the actual images that he sent here. So we'll pull up this image, and they're the same one, basically the same subject matter, but two different instances here. He said he added some sharpening, and I'm looking at this one and I think it could use a little bit more sharpening, but more so than that, it probably could have benefited from having a bit of focus stacking. We talked about focus stacking on episode 49 of the show, but just 2 weeks ago, my friend, the mad scientist, Mr. Don Komarechka, he also talked about Photoshop and focus stacking, if I can talk today, focus stacking, and some of the tools that he used for his macro photography. And I believe this image here would benefit a lot more if you were able to take some time and just snap different frames and focus that together. Because if I zoom in on this, I can tell that it's just not a lot of things in focus here. If you look at the different, what are these called? Stems, and what are these called, Mr. Victor? Are those stamens? Do you know parts of a flower? Because I don't.
No, I don't.
I know that's a petal, and I know this is the inside of the petal. That's about all I know. But yeah, just zooming in, and I know when you zooming in, that is considered pixel peeping. You can see that it's not in focus in these different areas here. And I zoomed out. I could tell even zoomed out at regular, 1-to-1 ratio. Had this been, say, an f2.8 aperture, it would make a lot more sense to find these particular areas being out of focus. But at f4, this should probably been more in focus. Is that aperture isn't quite as wide open. So I would recommend, again, spending a couple minutes of just taking shots of this part in one frame, and then this part in another frame, and this part in another frame, and just sort of stack them all together. Get you about 10 different captures there and stack them all together. And then you're going to get a lot more clarity and sharpness, and it's going to look so much better. The color on this, the post-processing from the color and exposure looks good. I think this looks really, really, really good. I could see this on the wall somewhere. Nice work, Mr. Palmer. So now let's go over here and take a look at this other image. This is the one where he, air quotes, accidentally put it in the black and white preset. And this one is quite lovely, sir. I really do like this. Again, we still have that same concern from a focus standpoint. I don't mind this here in the back, this rear pedal and all of this back here being soft on focus, because it's not necessarily the subject, but the center of the frame is definitely the subject at hand. And it would be nice if it was a little bit more in focus. So let's zoom in a little bit more and you can see what I'm talking about here. Everything is just sort of falling off out of focus. This is in focus-ish, the main part of it. But here at the front, this is a lot more in focus versus this main structure here. So that's just another one of those giveaways there. And it's just going to take some time to try to dial in the focus on a shot like this. And I'm not sure about your particular camera, but a lot of cameras, if you look at your viewfinder via live view instead of looking through the actual optical viewfinder, a lot of times the live view on your camera allows you to tap on the screen where you want your focus to be. And if you're not able to tap on the screen and do that, there's usually a dial mode on the back of your camera that allows you to set the focus points wherever on your image sensor. And if you're using a tripod, this is going to be so much easier and so much better for you. So just set those focus points while you're locked off on the tripod, snap the shot, change that focus point again, snap the shot, so on and so forth. Do that up to about like I say, maybe 10 frames or so to really dial it in and get as much data as you can to merge together as one image. And it's going to look really, really good. But let's go back. There's a couple more things I wanted to say about this shot here. So I'm going to zoom back out to the regular view. Again, I love the black and white perspective. I love this sort of moody feel to it. I would give it just a touch more contrast, not too much. Some people will discuss the black levels in images, and they say you don't want to crush the blacks. That's pretty much the whole discussion of HDR, high dynamic range, meaning you're going to be able to have detail in the shadows and the black sections of your image. And you can see there's plenty of detail back here in the background. But I think the rest of this image, if there was a little bit more contrast on these petals, you would see a little bit more detail from the vein structures here shown on the petals. And I think it would just stand out a little bit better. Just overall contrast on this would help. Not too much, just maybe another stop and a half, something like that. You'll see a difference. So give that a try. But again, overall, heck of a job on this shot. Nice work. This could be done with any camera. It doesn't have to be something as nice as this D750. You can do this with a smartphone if you have to. I believe we talked about that before. So yeah, try it out with any camera you have, folks. All right. Okay, so that is it for this week's show, folks. This has been another interesting time. And again, I'm so sorry for taking a while to get a feedback show up for you guys. I promise you, we're going to have more of these. We're going to have some more image critiques and some walkthroughs. And I've been pondering some things for our Club TWiT members and things to do in the Discord. And I experimented with one thing with that crew and it didn't quite go the way I wanted to, but I'm going to find some more things to do for us as a community and be able to get together and have a bit more interaction with the hands-on photography viewers and listeners. All right. So if you have any questions, feedback, comments, and so forth, feel free to shoot me an email, hop@twit.tv. Again, that's hop@twit.tv. And I answer them as soon as I can. I try to answer every single one of them. I love hearing from you, and I love checking out the images that you send. Now, if you want to give me a follow on social media, I would totally appreciate that. Give me a follow on Twitter. I am ant_Pruitt there. And on Instagram, I am ant_Pruitt as well. That's going to do it for us this week, folks. Thank you again for all the support. Thank you again to my man, Mr. Victor, doing what he does over there in the booth, making me look and sound good. And we will see you next time here on Hands on Photography. So now safely create and dominate. Y'all take care.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you are interested in checking out all things smart home and Internet of Things, then you should check out Smart Tech Today, the podcast I, Micah Sargent, do with my co-host Matthew Casanelli. It's all about the smart home and improving your automations.